Yeah.
Okay. Well, welcome everyone. We are here for the regular meeting of the Board of Library Trustees, meeting of September 14th, 2021. The time is 6:02 p.m. And I'll invite Jinder to call the roll.
Trustee Duke Hughes,
I'm here.
Trustee Hahn,
Here.
Trustee Lentini,
Here.
Trustee Vadot,
Present.
Chair Cortez.
Here. Thanks, Jinder. I'll invite Jinder to explain how the public can participate in this evening's agenda.
Okay, seems like we do have a couple of attendees. Good evening, everyone. Viewers are welcome to provide public comment online through Zoom or by telephone at 253-215-8782. And the meeting ID is 827-1116-7618#. If you are watching the meeting on Zoom and wish to provide public comment, please select the raise hand feature either on the bottom of your screen or through the participants icon. If you are participating by telephone and wish to provide public comment, please press *9 when the chair opens the public comment period. When it is your turn to speak, you will be notified that the host is inviting you to participate. You will need to press *6 to unmute yourself. Once you are unmuted, you will have 3 minutes to provide your comments.
Thank you, Jinder. We are at agenda amendments. Are there any amendments to this evening's agenda? I do not see any notation of that. So we'll move on to the minutes to approve the regular meeting minutes of August 10th, 2021. Are there any questions and comments from trustees or staff on the meeting minutes? I don't see any. So we will open up for public comment if there are any questions on the meeting minutes of August 10th. Jinder?
Okay, yes, we do have 2 attendees, so I'll have to read the instructions. If you wish to provide public comment and are watching this meeting through Zoom, please use the raise hand function to let us know you would like to speak. If you are participating by telephone and wish to provide public comment, please press *9. When it is your turn to speak, you will be notified that the host is inviting you to participate. You will need to press *6 to unmute yourself. Once you're unmuted, you will have 3 minutes to provide your comments. So I'm just going to give them a couple of seconds here to see if they're interested. Okay, we can continue. We can make a motion and I can take the roll.
So we're closing public comment, and Jinder will, is there anyone who will motion for approving the minutes?
A motion to approve the minutes.
Great, is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
Thank you, and I'll invite Jinder to call roll.
Trustee Duke Hughes. Okay, we did hear you, Trustee Duke Hughes, but barely. Trustee Hahn,
Aye.
Trustee Lentini,
Aye.
Trustee Vadot,
Aye.
Chair Cortez.
Aye. Thank you, Jinder. Now we're on item number 2, introductions, award, recognitions, and presentations. We'll have a presentation, WebStar's drop-in tech support and 3D printing from supervising librarian Jill Tokotomi. Thank you, Jill. We'll get started.
Okay, good evening, everybody. Like Jamie said, my name is Jill Tokotomi. I supervise the Pickleweed Library, the Northgate Mall Library, and also outreach and marketing for the San Rafael Public Library. And I have a short presentation. I'm just going to share my screen. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to speak to you about our WebStar program that we restarted at our 2 branch locations. I just need to move my you guys. Okay, so when we opened the Northgate Mall in December of 2018, it was and continues to be in collaboration with the Marin County Free Libraries. And as a part of our MOU with them, we were given web stars who are, I'll talk more about, that come to us through the county, and they their role was to assist with emerging tech offerings. So at the mall, we had 3D printing and virtual reality. So the web stars would help assist patrons with those technologies. And the program itself is through the county. It was initially grant funded, and it provides young people with opportunities to get work experience and work in public libraries. And then they offer technology assistance to the public, and that can mean a variety of different things. So like I said, it was initially grant funded, but now the county just pays for it. It is managed by Etienne Douglas, who's a librarian at the Marin City Library. And so he trains the web stars, and then he sends them to our locations, and we kind of just, are their point people, tell them what we want them to do, and facilitate whatever it is that they're going to be doing for the public. So we took a hiatus from the WebStar program throughout the pandemic. We just relaunched it at the beginning of August. So we have 2 services that we're offering only at our branches, not at the downtown location yet. So we have a service called Drop-in Tech Support, and that is available both at Pickleweed and at Northgate. Pickleweed is Wednesday and Thursday evenings, and the 2 different web stars that we have coming in on those days are bilingual, English and Spanish speakers. And at Northgate, it's just in English. And then we also offer 3D printing appointments at the Northgate Library on Saturdays at 12 and 2. And the drop-in tech support is just the kids are in high school, they are digital natives, for lack of a better term, and they are available for our patrons to come in with their new devices, if they need help setting up email accounts, if they need assistance with whatever, they're available to them there. No, this is what I just spoke about. So yeah, oh, and the other thing that they can do for the drop-in tech support is they are available to train patrons on how to use our digital offerings. So that would be things like ebooks and our streaming services, even setting up their online account. The kids are available to help with that. And so far that's been pretty widely used. They were there on Saturday. They had 5 people come by. We've had people come to Pickleweed as well. I sent out a email blast to all patrons aged 50 and older, and also to all of our Spanish speaking patrons. So the word is getting out, and we're getting really positive feedback on the drop-in tech support. The other offering we have is 3D printing, and that is available on Saturdays with our web stars at the mall. And we haven't really been using these Lulzbots, these 3D printers. We have 2 full-size Lulzbots, and we have a Lulzbot mini at Pickleweed. Right now, we're just using the full-size Lulzbot at the mall, and patrons can come in and they can learn about how 3D printing works. They can bring a file if they have one and they want to have an item printed, or they can, the web stars can show them like a repository of files, and they can choose an item to be printed. And this is, of course, all under the guidance of the guidelines of the 3D printing policy that was approved when we first got the printers by you all. So that limits them to like how they can use the printer. And to make an appointment, they just use this simple online form to schedule it out. And actually, I kind of staggered how I promoted the services. So I started by promoting drop-in tech support, and then I waited until last week to promote the 3D printing appointments. Via email, I had put flyers up and done some like light promotion, but I sent an email blast out to everybody about the 3D printing appointments. And now we are actually booked out through October and a little bit into November as well. So this seems to be gaining steam. And last Saturday, the kids did take some appointments. Okay, so those are the web stars, and I actually have an update about this that was late in breaking as of this afternoon. So we were kind of thinking we wanted to soft launch all of this, start with just the drop-in tech support, not bring 3D printing to the locations other than Northgate, and to not bring any web stars to the downtown location, because we are working at about 65% of our regular hire staff. So it does take a bit of staff bandwidth as well to work with the web stars. So we thought, let's not rush into like full services. But we've recently reopened up the Randy Coleman Memory Lab, and a staff person has been facilitating these memory lab appointments where patrons can bring in their photos, slides, negatives, other memorabilia, and digitize them. And I sent an email blast yesterday or 2 days ago, and I have gotten 75 people who are now interested in using the memory lab. We were just doing it on Tuesdays and Thursdays with this one staff person, but we're actually going to, I worked with Etienne Douglas this afternoon to be able to bring the web stars downtown on Saturdays, and they're going to get trained to be able to facilitate the memory lab appointments to train patrons on how to use the scanning software. So that'll probably start not this coming Saturday. This coming Saturday, they'll get trained. And then the following Saturday, they'll be able to take memory lab appointments at the downtown location. And they'll also be doing drop-in tech support when they're not doing the memory lab work. So we're already starting to expand the WebStar program. And then I think another next step would be to bring the 3D printing back at Northgate or sorry, not at Northgate, at Pickleweed in downtown as well. Okay, and that's it from me, but I will take comments and questions if you have any.
Jill, will you stop sharing your screen so we can see
I
it?
sure will.
Thank you. Do I see any questions?
Yeah, quick question. Joe, what are, if anything, people using, like producing from the 3D printer? What are they actually?
That's a great question. So the web stars have only taken one appointment up until for the second round of offering the 3D printing. Excuse me. We had offered public access to the 3D printer, I believe starting in it was either 2016 or 2017, and we kind of did it in phases. So we started by I had some teen volunteers at the downtown library who were basically taking people in, showing them the technology. One of the kids was really good with Tinkercad, one of the 3D modeling software. So he would actually show people how to design their own thing using that. And that was a great value add. The same volunteer was doing, and he's now an employee for us, he's a library page. He would do these workshops where he would have younger kids come and do 3D modeling. So that was great and very educational. We then started up a 3D print queue where people could submit files for things that they wanted to have printed. And like 95% of these were coming from this digital repository called Thingiverse, which is items that have been designed by other people. And I would say it ran the gamut. There's a million things that you can 3D print. They would 3D print toys, they would 3D print tools for themselves. A lot of it was just kind of like acquainting the public with this new emergent technology and allowing them to sort of engage with it. yeah, mostly just little, I can't really say what they would mostly do because it could be anything really.
Thank you, Jill. I would just say that I read your FAQs, I think it was on it. And I think if you wrote it, whoever did it was, I don't remember it looking at it before, but I think you did an excellent job of why you're introducing it and the purpose and what the things that other people can, why we want to make it accessible to people. I think it was well written. I don't remember seeing it originally in the policies. I think it's great.
I mean, I think the gist of what you're referring to is basically that this is a new emergent technology, and part of the library's mission is to make accessible and democratize emergent technologies, whether it's like the internet 20 years ago or 3D printing today, and to make it available to the public in an accessible way.
Yes, thanks, Jill. Henry?
And that's wonderful, but if that wasn't enough, also a physician had a prototype medical device that Min printed for him to kind of get a handle on how that would work, and that would be printed in another material, but as a prototype that was very effective and useful. And then the paramedics at the fire wanted us to print some feet to go under their some machinery to kind of help them better position that machinery in the vehicle. So there's been some practical applications, you know, springing up. So I would say that's another measure of the success, that it allows people to kind of quickly, you know, get something made according to a specific specification.
Mm-hmm. And Henry, you had 3D printed some like face mask accoutrement.
Yeah, there were PPE.
Yeah.
I might have one, but there was a face shield holder and you could buy the plastic that was very effective. Some of us used them, as well as a whole kind of face mask underculture of printing on 3D printers. So during the lockdown, that was kind of a thing.
Mm-hmm. And that was when it was when there was a shortage of PPE. So it was useful for us in that way as well. Do people have other questions or comments?
I have a question, but I'm just seeing if I see anyone else. Doesn't look like it. Jill, how many people or students join the WebStar program, and how will it be sustained? Is the county always going to do this, or is it a sustain? I mean, obviously now it's funded through them, right? Not privately funded, as you said, but just how long will we have them? Is this an MOU for a certain number of years? Just
Yeah, so it is built into our MOU with the county, and the MOU gets re-upped. Henry, is it every year we revisit the MOU with the county?
Is that in relation to the Northgate Mall pop-up?
In relation to the Northgate Mall collaboration. In terms of how many WebStars are actually engaged in the program, I'm not sure, because that's something that's run by the county. I just know that for the ones that they're sending to our branches, we have 2 at Northgate, we have 2 at Pickleweed, and now we're going to be getting 2 at the downtown location as well.
And what schools are they just from local schools, or how are they being recruited in general?
I'm not sure what Etienne does to recruit them, but he tries to pair them at locations that are most convenient to them. So the WebStars that are at the Northgate Mall go to Novato High, and then the ones who are at the Pickleweed Library, they go to San Rafael High, and they both live in the Canal. And then I have not met the ones who will be coming to the downtown library, but I know that they were assigned to, Etienne wanted to have them at San Rafael, and they were kind of trucking from San Rafael to Marin City while we were kind of like slow rolling our engagement with the WebStar program. So he was really excited that they're going to be able to actually be closer to where they live and serve their community.
That's great. Thank you, Jill.
Mm-hmm.
If there are not any other questions from trustees, we will open it for public comment if there are any questions. Jinder?
Chair Cortez, yes, we do have 2 attendees. I'm going to read the script. If you wish to provide public comment and are watching this meeting through Zoom, please use the raise hand function to let us know you would like to speak. If you are participating by telephone and wish to provide public comment, please press star 9. When it is your turn to speak, you will be notified that the host is inviting you to participate. You will need to press star 6 to unmute yourself. Once you're unmuted, you will have 3 minutes to provide your comments. And I do see a hand raised, so I will allow this person to speak.
Great.
Hello, everybody. Hi, my name is Sunny Lee. Hi, Jay, Takutomi. Good to
Hi,
see-
Sunny.
It's so exciting to see the Webster program. Personally, I didn't actually aware of it, honestly, but I think it's such a wonderful program for the technically savvy high school students. I was wondering if such an incredible 3D printer like that is available at the Northgate. And I was wondering if there is some way we could even also work closely to the mechanical engineering program at SR, which has very good teacher who teaches good use of such a nice tool. And I would love to see there's a little more wide involvement, possibly TL and SR. I think many kids might be more encouraged to benefit from such a service. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Sunny. Thank you for the comment. I haven't currently been, I mean, this is like, we're just relaunching this, and I haven't been working with any of the staff at SR High at this point, but that's something that we could explore in the future.
Great, thanks, Jill. Thank you, Sunny Lee, for your comment. Any others, Shinder?
No.
Okay. We will close public comment. And Jill, I just also want to say that I was first looking at my item that I wanted to 3D print. So now I can't do it till November. Now I know to just make the appointment first. So that's a tip for anyone who's listening. Make your appointment first. Thank you, Jill. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Jamie, and thank you, everybody. It's good to see you all again, and have a great rest of your meeting.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jill.
Leave.
Now we're on item number 3, public comment from the audience regarding items not listed on the agenda. We will open for public comment. Gender.
Okay, if you wish to provide public comment and are watching this meeting through Zoom, please use the raise hand function to let us know you would like to speak. If you are participating by telephone and wish to provide public comment, please press star 9. When it is your turn to speak, you will be notified that the host is inviting you to participate. You will need to press star 6 to unmute yourself. Once you are unmuted, you will have 3 minutes to provide your comments. I'm just going to give them a few seconds, see if they're interested. Okay, I do see a hand raised. I'm going to allow this person to speak.
Hello, hi, this is Sunny Lee again. I apologize for jumping in.
Oh, welcome.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having this meeting open to the public. I really appreciate it. Just a month or a month and a half ago, I was in the Santa Fe Council meeting over the Zoom, and discovered that there was a design study has been given for the future library building at Albert Park location. I live very close by from Albert Park Lane. So basically behind the hills from Trinity Church and Muffin Mania. So I have lots of I guess experience on that area, and I would like to give some sort of a direct feedback on their location to any of the board of trustees, or I could just write a letter to send it to you guys, could share it. They would be very much appreciated. Also, maybe I could be put together some sort of concerns as a community south of Arbor Park area to because I just don't know how far, personally, I don't know how far the studies done, the whole area, traffics, patterns, load conditions, and then what is the expected patrons will be there with the vehicles and etc. So that's my biggest concern. And if there's a way I could reach out later, I would very much appreciate it. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, welcome, Susan. Do we have a recommendation for her on how to provide comments via letter, or what's?
I am in receipt of an email from her, and I will follow up and
Okay,
have, yes.
great. Thank you, Henry. Are there any other comments from board members in regards to that public comment? No. Gender, any other public comments?
No, not at this time.
Okay, great. Thank you. So we will move on to matters before the Board of Trustees.
Actually, I apologize. I do see a hand raised.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to allow this person to speak.
Hi there. I'm looking at your agenda packet from tonight's meeting. And because you guys had approved the minutes, I decided I should go look at the minutes. So I'm looking at the minutes and it doesn't tell me anything. It tells me that somebody went to a meeting and somebody asked questions and somebody answered the questions, but it doesn't tell me anything. There's no meat in the meeting. Like I would have no clue it was even a library meeting, but except it says library meeting on it. Do you guys do that often like that?
So I believe that there is, I don't have the meeting minutes in front of me, but there's a link to the video recording, correct? In the,
I'm not talking about a video recording. I'm just talking about what is written here. I'm not about to go watch your whole meeting when I can read it.
I don't know if I mean, our protocol right now is to have the recording. Does Henry or Susan have any other?
Yeah, we normally don't respond to under public comments. We just receive them, but for everybody's edification, the meeting summary notes are exactly per city clerk standards because the meetings are being recorded. So the minutes are reflecting exactly the actions that it should. It should not deliberate and go into personal comments or concerns of an individual member, but more represent the board in total. And therefore the link to the video recording of it is also supports any additional information that the public may want. Very similar to the city council.
Okay, I will then talk to Lindsay because there's nothing on here that says for more information, go, watch the link or whatever, but that's not you're doing if those were her instructions. Thank you.
Thank you, Lori, for your comment. Okay, we will move to matters for the Board of Trustees. Item number 4, fiscal year 2021 third quarter annual revenue and expenditure budget report.
That would be me, and I see a mistake in the agenda. Just for full transparency in government, this is the 4th quarter. So sorry. The end of the fiscal year has happened. These things do happen, but you'll see this in the staff report and on the spreadsheet attachment 1 for item number 4. And with that, I will share my screen. I have a presentation of the 4th quarter budget, and then I also have the spreadsheet, and I will share my screen after I finish the presentation on that, because it's helpful, because it provides, for those of you who may have seen this and those that you haven't, the previous year to the current, this current year being the most anomalous budget year in recent memory, possibly, due to COVID. So with that preface, I will share my screen. And sorry again for that error. So this is the review of fiscal year 2021 fourth quarter library budget, which summarizes the entire year. Quarterly, we review the library's budget expenditures as the Library Board of Trustees. This is the year-to-date figures for the fiscal year 2021. 100% of the fiscal year has elapsed. The overall activity is 91%. We would like to see 100%. It's been a challenging budget year. General fund is pretty close to target. That's 99%. Parcel tax expenditure is 72%. The parcel tax expenditure is lower because finance directed us to spend more of the general fund. And just as a reminder, the parcel tax money that isn't spent rolls over to the next year, unlike the general fund money. Revenue highlights. General fund is about 70% of our operating expenses. In most years, that would be pretty close to a little more than $3 million. You will notice when I show the spreadsheet, the general fund was reduced by a significant portion, around 500,000, due to cost savings for frozen positions that were empty and then not funded in this budget. Parcel tax remains about 29% of our total $4 million budget, which is about $1 million plus. And the Friends contribute about 1% of those operating expenses, mainly for programs and special things during summer reading and beyond. For example, the Friends were very generous in providing money for a Zoom account during the shutdown and funding Zip Books, the popular program. We had budgeted revenue to be about $18,000 this year, but we received much less from our state library consortium, which was $9,000. Those funds have been restored for the current fiscal year, but for the past fiscal year, they were severely reduced. The Friends contribution was estimated to be a little more than 23,000, but was a little more than 24, which is great. And parcel tax is always kind of a moving target because of senior exemptions reduce the amount, but at the same time, there's a cost of living calculator that it increases it, but we never know what the cost of living will be for that year. Parcel tax revenue was estimated to be a little under 1,100,000, and we were close. We were, 1,075,000. So we did pretty well, thanks to Jinder for his work on that. Expenditure highlights. Regular hire, salary, and benefits is the single biggest expenditure. It was lower due to personal vacancies, and like I mentioned, the budget was reduced by frozen positions in the general fund during that year of COVID, where we had while we were closed, and then when we opened for curbside, we maintained 5+ unfilled positions, 3 of which were taken out of the budget, but they're back in this year's budget. We did hire fewer extra hire temps generally, but we're on target for the year because we made that up because we had to hire more temporary people while we had unfilled positions. Building maintenance contracts and maintenance building improvement are lower than expected. Utilities and gas are lower due to the building being closed, and we were using less gas and utilities because we have reduced hours. Expenditure highlights. General fund. Contract services expenditures are on target. This never happens in the previous 3 quarters because we always pay all contract services mostly, because most of it is a net cost of around $250,000 the first quarter, but for the cumulative for the fourth quarter, we are on target, which is great. Internal service charges that we're charged by digital services and others are on target. We underspent office supplies. Books were overspent on purpose because we were instructed to overspend the general fund in some categories. Periodicals we got rid of because we didn't really need them during the shutdown, and we're starting those back up again, and we reuse those savings in audio visual. And we were able to, we underspent digital in the general fund because we just got less grant money than we expected. Audio visual, since we got the money from periodicals, we spent more. The budget was somewhat anomalous this year because we were allowed to do a bottom line budget. So that meant usually we never do a bottom line budget, but because of the sort of vagaries of COVID and wanting to spend more in general fund, we were instructed that that was okay. We didn't do any travel conference, hardly, because no one was traveling. We did underspend in professional dues and subscriptions, and also credit card fees, because we weren't really doing a lot of credit card payments, and there was kind of a hiatus on charging people for overdues and for missing items during the pandemic. So expenditure highlights for parcel tax. We are underspent on county administrative fees. They charge us to collect the parcel tax, which is just part of the way that works. So the conceptual design project that we're finishing up was part of contract services, and we did an adjustment to be able to take that out of set aside. That amount will come out of the Measure D parcel tax capital set aside. It's about 71. It's actually exactly 71,953. We were underspent in programming supplies, but there again, we were able to shift that savings over to another item as a bottom line budget, so that we kind of were able to pay for the things that we needed to pay for, and places where we saved, we're able to recoup those savings overall. And in book expenditures were underspent because in the parcel tax, we spent less because we can save that money as it rolls over. So we spent more in books in general fund at the direct kind of instruction of finance. It was a big challenge because we did have a hold on ordering for about half of the year. And book ordering is not simple because we order things before they come out. So it's kind of like predicting the future in a lot of ways. I mean, we do order things that are actually available now, but the bulk of popular reading material is ordered before it is actually published. So getting ahead of that and back into the swing of ordering things into the future was kind of a big challenge. But Jamie and the rest of the collection staff did a great job of catching up with that. Again, periodicals is also in the parcel tax, and we didn't spend on periodicals. Digital branch underspent for the same reason. We've been conservative with technology and supplies, but we have, started up 3D printing again. That'll be in this fiscal year. And we did not spend a lot on training and instruction traditionally in terms of sending people places or paying a lot for training, but there was a ton of free opportunities online during COVID in libraries, a virtual renaissance of training that was mostly free or low cost. So that concludes this presentation, and I can just pull up the spreadsheet for the discussion and or questions, if that's okay. I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and then I'm start sharing again. And I can move this around, but this is about as good as it gets in terms of the entire year here. And then the stuff below are our memorial funds, of which we are very fortunate to have some nice balances there. So do you want me to leave this up or stop sharing?
You can leave it up. We'll see
Okay.
if there are
Cool.
comments. I'm looking. If I see Alex, you have a comment?
Yeah, I just had a quick question for books. Does that include ebooks as well?
A great question. Normally it doesn't, but this year we kind of mixed them together a little bit. some libraries during the pandemic, when they couldn't spend anything on physical, they put it all into ebooks, but we were more conservative because we didn't know where the future was going. But most of ebooks is in digital, but we were able to spend a little bit on from the actual book budget because of the kind of bottom line nature of this budget. The other thing I would say is the digital space is exploding since COVID, and of all the branches in MarinNet, it is the most used, and we intend to continue to spend more for ebooks and be able to kind of supplement that. There's been a couple of good grants from state library, one of which we used to fund Hoopla. I think we got 5,000 during the pandemic. Hoopla is a unlimited simultaneous use ebook, e-audio, and music and video platform that we have. But traditionally, ebooks would come out of digital branch resources in both the Parcel tax and general fund. Most of that's in the Parcel tax budget.
Hey, Henry, a quick question. So, I understand the last year plus has been a real anomaly when you try to forecast budgeting based on previous year and everything that you've done. Maybe a more direct question would be, so what are we taking away from the past year in how we look at things, and what adjustments might we make for the following year in terms of budgeting?
Well, I think the one thing that stands out is our reliance and the convenience for digital resources, available 24/7 for everyone, from the safety of their home, convenience, people who may not get out. So I think the sort of rebalancing of resources to kind of be able to provide the in-person tactile, physical books, but really put enough towards ebooks and digital resources. Traditionally, we would pay a bottom line fee for Overdrive with MarinNet, and then we would add more if we had extra money. But our MarinNet ebook collection is kind of held in common, where other consortium collections have kind of subcategories for each particular library, and we're kind of moving towards, and I'm going to talk about this in the universal borrowing thing, towards kind of having that more open. So we actually decided to add 20,000 more as a consortium to that collection. Beyond that, I think that the utility and the possibility of remote work and virtual services, the city knows as a city that that's something that we need to grapple with. Within the library, we were able to use the online chat and our email and our existing digital resources to kind of help people access those things when they couldn't get physical books. And I think we remain committed to really being able to kind of have the tools available to staff that allows them to function both in person and virtually at the same time. Like, staff will be at a desk helping someone in person with a chat coming in on their computer and kind of moving back and forth in those spaces. It's not a huge, budget impact, but in terms of staffing and kind of looking at the way we staff, I think there's a potential, that mirrors what's happening in the big technology companies, but a little less extreme. And then the third thing is with collection development, the Zip Books program basically is patron-driven collection development. So we don't buy it until someone finds out they need it. And it has a certain efficiency to it because of any books that you buy as a library, there's a percentage that are kind of a wrong decision that no one's ever going to check out. And so when you restrict that to kind of like someone says they want it and you can deliver it within 2 days by Amazon Prime, not that that's the most ideal way, that creates kind of a feedback loop where you can actually be more efficient with collection money. We have relied on the state funding this program, but it isn't irrational to think that we might use regular collection money to be more just in time and less trying to presuppose what people want, with the caveat that for popular series, children's series, all the X books or Y books, we would want to have those, but having more of a responsive attitude towards patron suggestion for purchase. In the past, it would take several weeks, if not months, to order that book, and now we can get it like within 2 days. So I think those are the top levels, I would say. Yeah.
Thanks, Henry. I appreciate the thoughtful response on that.
Henry, obviously, as we all know, this is very different, and what you've done in the past year. So is the direction this fiscal year as well to spend general fund before parcel tax fund? Because that was obviously not for the year. So I'm just curious what the direction is this year.
Yeah, that's a great question, because in previous years,
It's always the opposite.
it was in previous recent years, it was like, let's spend parcel tax first,
Right.
so that we could recoup shared savings in general fund. And that was more recent. And before that, it was the opposite again, because it was perceived like that we didn't want to leave money on the table. But that's not a very collaborative approach to spending. For this year, I think we would, if we haven't really discussed that in depth and had our budget meeting with finance per se, but I would say that because the financial picture is less dire than it looks like, it would probably make sense to spend down general fund first, with the caveat that a lot of Measure D parcel tax money is devoted to operations, which means staffing, like actual people, regular hire people. That's all of them, or part of them, are paid by Measure D. And when we bring those people back on, and we're hiring 4 positions right now, we just hired 5, that's going to take a big chunk out of Measure D that wasn't happening during the shutdown. So maybe a little of both, but with a sense of kind of nimbleness, that we can kind of do what is required. And we kind of went back and forth twice on that during the COVID year, so we're able to kind of be very responsive, with the caveat that the staff are kind of specifically allocated to one or the other or both. But I think the fact that we're aware and able to be responsive to the needs, means that we will expend our general fund money as efficiently and collaboratively as we can with regards to the whole city picture, and then we can husband the Measure D resources because they roll over, with regards to the specific intent of that funding vehicle to support the library.
Okay. Well, I'd love to hear an update after you do your meeting with the finance.
Yeah.
Staff. I think unless anyone else, did Johnny have a question? Yes.
I have a quick question. You mentioned that training was available at low or no cost, which is great news. Would love to hear a little bit more, and doesn't need to be very detailed if you don't have that offhand, but just what kind of skills did that help build, and did it offset some costs that would have been incurred, roughly, right? No hard numbers here, but
yeah,
love to hear more.
We did some lower cost or no cost trainings on a wide variety of subjects. I think that the sort of core of that is California Library Association did do a virtual conference that had, a moderate fee, but no travel and no hotel. And so a large amount of staff were able to attend that. We presented something on preferred not required, the fact that the MLIS degree is preferred not required for our librarian position. I think that Jamie presented something on fine free with someone from Marin County. a lot of the trainings have to do with equity, diversity, and inclusion for libraries and library staff. A lot having to do with virtual resources. I did a wellness training. There was a free Brene Brown training from an actual certified Dare to Lead Brene Brown person through the Call California Library Academy. There's also Niche Academy. What was awesome was that not only could we get trainings from the state and our local area, but the entire nation, because libraries are heavily networked in terms of American Library Association, Public Library Association, and the California Library Association. We recently signed up for a specific set of trainings to help our new staff and existing staff be more prepared for dealing with issues around people experiencing homelessness, which it was a pretty low cost for the entire staff to have it for the entire year. I forgot the exact name, the professional that provides it. So those would be the main kind of like issues of wellness and the pandemic, diversity, equity, diversity, inclusion, and then digital and remote resources. So yeah, it's been great.
Thank you for that very detailed response. I was not expecting or meaning to put you on the spot, but that was really really impressive, and those all sound like really essential training that you managed to offset some of the costs and upskill the team. So that's absolutely fantastic.
Thank you.
Thanks. We will open up for questions. Henry, if you want to stop sharing your screen, open up questions for a public comment.
Okay, we do have one attendee. If you wish to provide public comment and are watching this meeting through Zoom, please use the raise hand function to let us know you would like to speak. If you are participating by telephone and wish to provide public comment, please press *9. When it is your turn to speak, you will be notified that the host is inviting you to participate. You will need to press *6 to unmute yourself. Once you're unmuted, you will have 3 minutes to provide your comments. I'm just going to give this person a second to see if they're interested. Seems like no.
Okay, thank you, Jinder. We will close public comment. We will go on to item number 5, an update on universal browsing. Henry, take it away.
Thank you, Chair Cortez. I will share my screen. We brought a staff report, I think it was last year. It could have been early this year, but I think it was last fiscal year, on the sort of concept of universal borrowing, which I will reiterate during this presentation. And now I'm going to provide an update on universal borrowing with regards to e-resources in the MarinNet consortium. So, oops. Okay. So best practices in California public libraries allow any person who lives in the state to get a library card and use the resources of any library. And before, like, the internet, that kind of meant you could get a card and check out books from any library. And it was kind of self-regulating, because your ability to travel from like San Rafael to Long Beach and get a card down there and use their resources would be kind of geographically challenging, but you could kind of go to Berkeley and check out their books and kind of be considered, a library patron. And this is kind of a cool thing about California. Like, Washington State doesn't have this. Like, your local library only serves the people in the community, and it's not kind of like the whole state together, hooray. And it's kind of in the sort of California Library Services Act. And since the advent of digital resources, the accepted praxis, and it's not specifically defined as physical, but as resources, has been to include electronic resources. So I don't live in San Jose, but I could get a card there and use their ebooks. I could get one in Berkeley, I could get one in Palo Alto, And as long as I renew my card every so often, however that is done, I can, besides checking out books there, I can use their ebook collection, which becomes, significantly relevant, particularly during COVID, where there's limits on the amount of things you can check out. There's also additional pay-per-use resources like Canopy and Hoopla that provide a kind of premium service. And so, it used to be more than 10 years ago, the state library would pay libraries for serving people in other jurisdictions just with general circulation, and that went away. But now there's kind of an informal give and take where most libraries allow this ability to access resources digitally just because if you have a library card. But within MarinNet, that had been kind of a no-go both internally and externally. So no one outside the county could get access to any electronic resource held within, so they could get physical. And then there was a group of shared resources still exists, but for individual resources, such as if Larkspur has something, but you're a San Rafael patron, you can't get it. And this kind of isn't in line with the general workings of other libraries in the Bay Area. So there's been a move pretty much, kind of fueled by me and others to kind of talk about this as a group. And we've made some recent changes, which have allowed a wider access. So yeah, I talked about all this. And one of the unfortunate aspects of this was, for example, a teacher who lives in Petaluma would come to us wanting to get access to our ebooks. And it's kind of like, no, you can't, because you live in Petaluma, you can't. And we could make an exception for a specific employee teacher, but generally there was kind of a negative experience customer service wise, because with other libraries in the area, this was not a barrier. So we're kind of wanting to remove this barrier. And if you look at where people actually live, this is from our Orange Boy. We have card holders that live in San Francisco in the East Bay. On the left there, that picture, you see the yellow circle says 307. So we have 300 people who live in the East Bay. There are card holders, 20 in Concord, 30 in South San Francisco. And that's kind of normal. And if you look in the state on the right, we have people as far north as, Humboldt County, Crescent City. There's 24 people in the upper valley there that are our customers. And so it's kind of like a statewide view. We serve local and, everyone, the public. And so recently, Canopy is our streaming service. It was bought by our Overdrive ebook collection. Holder Overdrive is owned by a kind of private equity firm. It used to be a company in Cleveland, but they sold to Rakuten, which sold to somebody else. San Rafael, Larkspur, and Marin County Free share this. Maybe I think I skipped a slide. Oh no. Okay. Sorry. The big change, I missed the reveal, is that everyone can now access the Overdrive ebook collection, which is the main, most popular thing for basically users of ebooks nationwide, with the competitor being Cloud Library, which we used to have, but we consolidated all into one. And so everyone can kind of access that, people in outside of county, and it's all shared internally. So that we had a discussion about it, the board agreed. And so that's significant progress because it's kind of the biggest thing, particularly for people out of county. The discussion about Canopy is relevant because that is merging with the Overdrive ebook collection. We're not sure how that's going to work. It would be nice to also be able to offer Canopy to everyone as a group because it's considered to be a very attractive service. But depending upon whether you live in Mill Valley, Larkspur, San Anselmo, Sausalito, County Unincorporated, you get different amounts of plays and or may not have access to this. So the kind of intention is to have sort of more shared databases that everyone has access to, so we won't run into these internal restrictions. But there's still uncertainty on how Canopy will be integrated with Overdrive. Here's kind of a confusing graph, but Overdrive, you see, is not blocked internally or externally. Ancestry, Mango, and ProQuest are examples of shared databases that everyone in Marin County can access, but they are blocked externally because, you know, we haven't made that change yet. That may be with continuing discussion. Ancestry is a genealogy database. Mango is a language and language database. ProQuest is something we get through the state library. Database is not shared internally. Canopy, Hoopla, Washington Post, for example, San Rafael gets Washington Post. We pay a premium, but if you live in San Anselmo, you're not allowed to get that. So we, you know, because people perceive us as to be one library system, and people use us like one system, and they don't really understand the differences. We would like to kind of sort of get to a place where everything is more or less shared across the system, so that people aren't disappointed and or confused. And yeah, that's the gist of what I have to say today. I will stop sharing. Hopefully that wasn't too confusing and I used some jargon there. And if you have any questions specifically about that or anything else, I'm ready.
Thanks, Henry. We'll open it up. Alex, you have a question?
Yeah, I have one question. What's, you know, for someone who has a card, let's say to, you know, San Rafael Public Library, what's the mechanism to stop that person from checking out a book or an ebook? I mean, once they get a card, like, how do you track where they are after that?
It's in the database. So like the database authentication is not universal throughout the entire consortium. Each library has specific authentication parameters. So for example, if you went to the Bell Tib website with your San Rafael card, it would take your number and your PIN, but it would say, no, can't get it. So it's all the back end of the authentication mechanisms that vary across both libraries and vendors. So there's kind of a confusion. Like we get on a regular basis, people are like, I can't log in. And so we're desktop support. So we're like, okay, look at the account. Are you a patron of the library that has that resource? What's the message? And generally it has to do with them being coded for a different library, like what's called, it's sort of like geolocation coding. Like we have different codes for each zip code, which is unfortunate given the spread of patrons and people use. You know, a huge amount of our patrons are county card holders. But what's good is we in the county share a lot of things, so that doesn't come up as much.
Thank you.
I don't have a question, but I just want to say, go Henry. This is awesome. It is just, I mean, I've come up against it and I just was like, I don't get it. It says Marinnet. Like, doesn't that just mean all the libraries in Marin are sharing all these resources? So I'm just really glad to see you're making progress, and I really hope it all comes together.
Yes, thank you, Cheryl. And we are making progress, and there could be a day when we agree on the same resources and this problem would just fade away and it would be not confusing.
This kind of leads to my question, Henry, and maybe I missed it, but where are you in this? Like, is everyone, how many people or how many libraries are in agreement? How many are like, this is crazy, I don't want to do, you know, sort of where do you think you are, and how hard will it be to get there?
Well, I think it's an interesting continuum of experiences of libraries with different sort of funding experiences. Like, I think generally there's no real opposition to the idea, and it's sort of demonstrated by our commonly held ebook resource Overdrive in allowing that to be accessed externally. But there's kind of like the phenomenon of any collaborative endeavor that if one library has more funding, do they spend it on the shared thing, or do they buy something specifically just for their people? And that has traditionally been kind of unregulated by intention, because there's a feeling like, you know, if this money is supposed to go to, it's coming from X city, we should spend it on things only X city can get, versus, you know, what can we do collaboratively that helps everyone? And so I mean, you know, of all the libraries in Marin County, we're all the best funded top quarter of the libraries in California. But like, we get $70 per capita. The county's like 120, and other libraries have like 4 times as much. So that, you know, I could see if I go to the movies and I have $50 to spend on snacks, I can buy 5,000 candy bars, or I can spend it on my friends and we'll each get 1. You know, so, you know, not a great analogy, but there's kind of a happy medium there where I think if we can all experience the same economy of scale, then everyone wins. So with Canopy, what we've been trying to get to is Larkspur, San Rafael, and Marin County are sharing a nice economy of scale on Canopy. And we tried to get the entire consortium together on that, but some wanted to have more independence. But the more that we do a shared resource, we can get better pricing from leveraging the economy of scale. And particularly for something like Canopy that's pay per use, we can pay them one fee, even though it's pay per use. So we can budget a specific amount for the year and not have to feel or get in that we would have increased usage, which would spend the budget faster than we want it to. Like that's the agreement we have with Canopy now. And the more that we can do that just across the board, I think with Ancestry and Mango, that's worked well. So I think it's sort of like piece by piece we're getting there. And the more that we think to kind of make a pitch to the vendor, let's all get this, right? So we're working together. I think that's kind of the sweet spot, but it's kind of a gradual process.
Thanks, Henry. I will open up for public comment.
All right, we do have one attendee. If you wish to provide public comment and are watching this meeting through Zoom, please use the raise hand function to let us know you would like to speak. If you are participating by a telephone and wish to provide public comment, please press *9. When it is your turn to speak, you will be notified that the host is inviting you to participate. You will need to press *6 to unmute yourself. Once you're unmuted, you will have 3 minutes to provide your comments. So I'll give this person a few seconds to see if they're interested. Okay, it doesn't seem like they are.
Thank you, Jinder. So we will close public comment. Thanks, Henry. And we will move on to board reports and comments. Item number 6, other brief reports on any meetings, conferences, and or seminars attended by board members. Do we have any? I do not see any there, so we will close that and move on. Oh, I'm sorry. I missed you.
No, it's fine. I just wanted to say last week I moderated a conversation with our congressional rep Jared Huffman on climate change, and I just want to highlight what I think, maybe kind of isn't really highlighted much about the library and how I think the library does a lot to combat climate change and creating a shared resources for books. I think people buying books isn't really thought of much, but it is a drain on resources, and I think as much as the library's kind of stated mission, really the subtext is fighting climate change, and just wanted to highlight everyone's hard work doing that. So thank you, Henry. Thank you to all the librarians and staff for that.
Great, thank you for that update. So we'll move on to item 7, staff reports and comments, other brief program updates or reports on any meetings, conferences, or seminars attended by staff.
Okay, so Parcel Tax Committee hasn't met this quarter yet. So we do have a tentative budget, and the budget figures, FYI, that I showed you, the budget's not completely resolved because we don't have the audit in yet, but we hope to meet as a parcel tax when we do have official numbers. There's also only 3 members of that committee right now with 2 openings, so we hope to meet sometime in the next month or so. The Friends met last week because of the way the month fell. They're planning a rare and special sale, I believe, at the community center, which is awesome. Kind of library and community and recreation working together. In the past, the Friends had rented the church across the way, so that's one less expense that can go towards library. The rare and special sale is kind of a traditional thing for those hard to find or eclectic items. And look for more information about that coming up. Foundation, you may have received a postcard from the foundation. The big news is, if you didn't, they postponed indefinitely the annual fundraising dinner that would have been the 23rd due to the Delta and the additional kind of restrictions, mask wearing. In the past, we had problems with smoke. You know, there's always something, but we're going to have a foundation meeting on the same day, the 23rd. There's normally a public appeal at the same time with a mailer for people to become members and to, contribute the cost of membership, if not more, towards the goal of a new library buildings in San Rafael. And MarinNet board is meeting this coming Thursday. The big topic of conversation still is RFID tagging. We hope to finalize funding, shared funding to pay for a company, a third-party provider, to come in and tag all of our books, which we will do as a consortium, leveraging economies of scale with that company for a lower cost than we could potentially do it individually for much less work. Also, we're planning the annual retreat day, which will be in January. Unclear whether that will be in person, but in the past it had happened like at a local restaurant, and there'd been a theme with possibly a speaker, which we have to hope to do this year. NorthNet board has not met since our last meeting, and that's our official state library consortium from which we derive grants from the state library and the Institute of Museum and Library Services. If we weren't a member, we couldn't get those grants. So it's from here to the Oregon border, over to Nevada, and down to like Sacramento area. Big consortium. And so the new library building update, I was hoping maybe Susan can say something about that, and I will conclude with the city library update, if that's okay.
Sure. Can you guys hear me okay? Okay. So a couple of things. The Friends of the Library's book sale that they're going to have at the San Rafael Community Center is going to happen on October, I want to make sure I've got the right dates here, the 8th and the 9th. It's all day, I believe, on the 8th, which is a Friday, and then a half a day on Saturday. I could be off on the hours. I know that they're moving in on the 7th in the afternoon, so we're pretty excited to have them here. It really helps them out to be able to just kind of walk in, store the books here, and have their first sale. So really excited about them saving money. So, okay, so the next steps in regards to the library and conceptual design. So as you know, we have concluded the process to do the joint library community center conceptual design at Albert Park. Henry and I just received the final renderings from Nolan Tam, and we've drafted a staff report and shared some of the information with the city manager. The next steps are We are going to be reaching out to the city's provider that does research and polling information in regards to parcel tax, bonds, sales tax measures in the next few weeks to get their feedback as to the best way to proceed with getting that information, as well as contemplating on whether or not we will be able to do a conceptual design process for the existing Carnegie and an update on those estimated costs that were done in 2019. So the reason why we want a little bit of information on both of those, the process is that Henry and I will be meeting with the Vice Mayor and Councilmember Hill, since Councilmember Hill represents the downtown area. And we will be discussing kind of the findings of the conceptual design, but staff's recommendations at this time are to proceed with both of those. One is to go out and do a feasibility study and voter kind of polling research to find out what the residents are willing to support. And the second recommendation is to do a conceptual design and cost estimate for the existing Carnegie. But it's the timing, which one happens? Do they happen on parallel paths? Does one happen first? So as soon as we get some more information about that, we'll be presenting it to the Vice Mayor and Councilmember Hill, getting their feedback. Then hopefully we will be able to move forward with one or both of those recommendations along with the findings of the conceptual design to the full city council in either late October or early November. So we're pretty excited about this. As you can imagine, we don't want to just say, here are the findings, look at the pictures, thank you so much, that's it. We really want to use it as the impetus to drive a decision. So we feel that those two recommendations are really necessary, and I think we've talked about that before, are really necessary for the council to make a decision on which location they want to proceed with and the type of support the community is willing to give towards building a new funding to build a new library. So we're almost there, so excited. So my next step is getting a meeting with Godby Research, who has done our polling and our feasibility studies for Measure R. They did it last year and they do the community-wide survey every other year. So it's the same company. So we'll be reaching out, getting their best advice, since that's what they do for a living, as to kind of the best steps to move forward with the polling research and feasibility study.
Thank you, Susan.
So I have the last item, city librarian report. So like I mentioned, we have 4 open recruitments, 1 half-time librarian, 1 full-time librarian, 1 supervising librarian, and a library aide. They all close on the 16th in 2 days. We've got a moderate to very heavy level of interest in all those positions. Just to remind you, the supervising position was because Jill Harris left our organization at the end of August, for those of you that knew her, and she's moved to Sacramento. Also, you received the announcement yesterday that Susan's replacement, Catherine Kufa, has been announced. She is currently the Assistant Library and Recreation Director for Recreation. Highly qualified, excellent collaborator, and she will be anticipated to start in January, and Susan will be filling in while she's for maternity leave. So, you know, congratulations to Catherine, and you will be seeing her when Susan Susan's transitioning out. You knew that she was retiring, and Catherine will be coming in, projected to be in January.
It's a little different than that. So Catherine is going out on maternity leave in a week.
Right.
So she will be out till the end of January. Upon her return, then we will start the recruitment for her replacement.
Oh, okay.
And then as soon as we have that person, then I will leave. They've done this a couple of times to make sure that there's a smooth transition. And there's a couple of projects, one we just talked about that's really important. And we don't want, you know, especially going into holidays, that baton gets dropped and forgotten. I think we would all lose our minds if that happened with that project. So we want to make sure there's a smooth transition in regards to that, as well as the Park and Recreation Master Plan. So we will keep you updated, but I don't have a specific retirement date. It's 2022. We know that. And most likely it's before June and it's after January 31st, somewhere in there. You like that? That's how I live my life. I think that's how we all live our lives, right? Very flexible. So we're very excited. And what's really nice is Henry and Catherine have been working together now for the last 3 years on a lot of projects together, and they really do work extremely well together. So I'm excited that we have both of them here and are obviously remaining here on staff to take this department forward. So I couldn't be happier that it was an internal candidate. So.
Great news. Any questions? I have some questions, but I will open up questions or comments, try and be quick, let people go. I don't see any. Henry, one question was, can we share at next meeting, or if not, it can't be via email, I was gonna say, but since we have new members on, fairly new members and new members, can we share the map of what we were, each topic that were for the year, how we had mapped it out? I was just curious on looking back at that. So if we can just.
The work plan.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, great.
I could send out a link to that. It's in the public record, but it will be time to form a new one soon.
Okay, yeah, I was thinking about
Yeah.
that, and I was going back to Adriana's question where I was thinking about, I would love to maybe find a time in that work plan I would love to hear sort of the overall diversity, equity, inclusion work that the library is doing, meaning like the trainings that staff has attended, how you're pulling book collections like that, maybe how you're thinking about marketing and emails, or maybe even whatever is coming up. Sometimes it's even about the form that you're having people sign to come into a library, to get a card. So whatever it may be, I would appreciate an overview of the landscape of what the library is doing in relation to that work. I know you're doing a lot and already doing, so I'd love to just.
Yes. Both what we've done and what we're planning to do.
That'd be awesome.
Yes.
And then another quick question was the city librarian update. Are you not doing, I noticed when I was looking at that, the Friday newsletter anymore?
The Friday memo?
Yeah, the memo.
Yes, specifically with regards to the state librarian.
Oh, maybe.
No, your
maybe
Friday
asking-
memo where you would, say what's happening with the programming, or, feedback you've gotten from patrons. Remember how you used to have a Friday memo? Originally it was like a big thing and then it got scaled down, and then COVID happened, but I'm just wondering, I realized, did I miss it in the emails, or are we getting them still?
So you haven't received the Friday memos in a while is what I'm hearing.
I don't remember seeing them. Maybe they're my spam.
Yeah, I may have been confused that they're actually getting them through the email, but what we need to do is actually attach it and send it to you. So yes, we are making a Friday memo like this week, and when there's a council meeting, we have a shared Friday memo. And so some of that content you'll be getting through Orange Boy, specifically like the Memory Lab, WebStars, but we can, the action item is to make sure that the board gets the Friday memo without fail. Yes.
Awesome. Great. Thank you.
They put a lot of effort into them. We sure want to share them.
Well, I know, and I realized when I was thinking about it, I was thinking maybe he stopped doing it because of the pandemic and there was 500 million other things going on. So
no.
I
didn't realize that you weren't on the distribution list and I think that's the best way so that you just get it. But if that's okay, I think that's okay.
Sure.
But at the level of where it's sent out.
Henry, it's just the Library and Recreation Department Friday memo that we're forwarding to them.
Okay. All right.
So.
All right. Yes. So I'll have to forward it to you specifically. Yes.
Okay. Great. Thank you. Anything else before we close? So our next meeting is October 12th, 2021, and our future agenda topic right now is realignment of library open hours to public use patterns and needs, and maybe we can add an overview of the work plan that we talked about. We don't have to overview however you want to do it, either just a link, just so we're kind of just a reminder on that.
We can definitely send it to you ahead of time because I think it is slated for November or December, depending on which, sometimes you guys go dark on one of those months. But during one of those months, not only is it the selection of the chair and the vice chair, but it's finalizing that work plan. So we'd love for you to take a look at it because it'll give you that opportunity to really think about the different topics you want to be brought up next year without having to do it on the spot.
Great, perfect, thank you. And so we will adjourn the meeting now at 7:27 p.m.
Excellent.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Susan.
all. Have a good
Thanks,
day.
Jamie.
Bye,
Thanks, Alex.
baby.
Thanks, Adrian.
I'm
Thanks, Cheryl.
Bye.